I'm Will Carr, and I'm here to fire you up.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Will Carr Speaks podcast. And today's episode, I'm going to sit down with my guest, Tim Bennett, who is running for Congressional District 7 here in Colorado. And so, yeah, we're excited to just dive in, talk about the race, talk about you, your life, some politics, some policy, just get into it, whether it be here at the Colorado level or at the federal level. There's a lot of stuff that we have to discuss. So with that in mind, thanks for being here, Tim.
Yeah. We talked just a few days ago.
Yeah.
And I've been looking forward to everything except the traffic getting up here. So,
yeah, because you're coming up from Castle Rock.
Yeah, I'm just coming up from down south, and
there's
I've been in Colorado long enough to remember what it was like to zip up, and zip here, and now it's like, oh, okay. I look on my GPS, and it's constantly adjusting the time because it's like, oh yeah, they're whatever.
Traffic is always a bear that we have to deal with, right? Man, first let's just kind of I kind of want to ask you just about I'm going to real open-ended question to get started. What are kind of some of your primary focuses, going into this election? Like, what do you want to, how do you want to make an impact? How do you want to make a difference here in Colorado?
Well, I think, in my humble opinion, I like to say families first.
Yeah.
And at whatever we do, we have to think about whether that be, the immediate impact or even maybe a secondary, or financially you can get into second, third, many orders of effect beyond that. But families end up holding the bill for so many policies.
Yeah.
And it frustrates me when someone says, we're going to address, the buzzword these days is affordability. I don't like that. Yeah. Cost of living, maybe buying a house, whatever it might be. They say, hey, we're gonna do this thing, whatever that might be. And then they turn around and do something, give money away.
Yeah.
My big issue, one of my big issues, is giving money away to foreign countries. And you and I talked about that once. Why are you watering your neighbor's lawn?
Yeah.
While your house is on fire?
Right.
And last year we gave away $484.1 billion. That's $500 billion. We just gave it away. You got here, take this because you can spend it better than we can. Right.
And how many different countries? Do you know how many different countries that's split amongst?
Well, some of that money it's every single country in the world. One of the ways is through drug subsidies.
So like pharmaceuticals, or
if you look at big pharma, and so Medicare can't negotiate drug prices. So every single time a drug price is negotiated, and I'm not vilifying anybody. I'm not even vilifying the pharmaceutical companies when I say this, because it's business.
Yeah.
And
they're going to take advantage. They're going to make a profit.
They're going to make a profit. But who are we to say, okay, well, Medicare won't negotiate drug prices.
Right.
But some foreign country will.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as they do and they get a cheaper price, well, then they just charge Medicare more.
Right.
So that means taxpayers in the United States are funding drug prices around the world. So you can go back and say literally every single time a drug is sold from Big Pharma, we are to some extent funding cheaper prices. And even if cheaper prices for somebody else, so when we start putting money into Medicare, which it needs to be there.
Yeah.
But we don't take into consideration the fact that we could lower the cost simply by negotiating drug prices and lowering the cost of drugs. That's just common sense,
Absolutely.
Common sense, normal economics. We're not doing anything. Yeah. You're not raising taxes or lowering taxes. You're just being smarter about the way you do things. Well, if you're not doing that, or you're not trying to think your way through a problem, then we resort back to the emotional, these political, oh, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican.
Right.
Oh, you're trying to take my Medicare money. You're not. Well, this has nothing to do with that.
No, we're trying to give you the same services. We just don't want the taxpayer to have to pay as much.
I just want to take care of you.
Yeah.
And not Germany, the UK, let's say Poland, Greece, Italy, France, Israel, Singapore, wherever it may end up being.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me. It just matters that CD7, Americans in CD7 get the benefit. And this is probably a strange thought, but if every single other person in the United States outside of CD7 got to pay higher drug prices, my job would be to represent CD7.
Right.
But that, like if everybody else decided to subsidize CD7, I'd be like, well, that might not be the best thing to do, but I'm okay with that. Right?
Yeah, you got to take care of your people.
You got to take care of your peeps at home, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, I mean, I just think that's a great example of the inefficiencies of the way that government spends money. Did Trump do something with like Trump RX that's supposed to kind of take care of that to a degree?
They've been trying and trying and trying.
They've
been trying and trying for years. And as an example, the VA, we just talked about that, but the VA can negotiate drug prices, but Medicare can't. So again, and I'm a veteran, so I'm all about lower drug prices for veterans, but it's coming out of the same, there's a word, fungible. Have you ever heard that? Fungibility, fungible. And all that means is that you have a big pot of money.
Right.
And you can't say, well, the money came out of the same pot, but we didn't spend the dollar you gave me on that. We spent the dollar he gave me on that, because it all goes into the same pot of money.
Right.
So when the government that funds both the VA and Medicare says one element can negotiate prices, but the other one can't.
Right.
Well, we're still paying for it. It's coming out of the same pot of money.
Exactly. It's all coming from the taxpayer.
And so we do that across the board. And it's I think frequently the government, they try to manipulate what we're thinking. Yeah. By playing two sides against the other, or two sides against the middle, instead of just being good, exercising good fiduciary responsibility with not only taxpayer dollars, but quite frequently, I like to tell people when they say, "Oh, we should spend taxpayer dollar better. It's taxpayer dollars better." Yeah. And I stop and I go, "No, that's not true. No, you're missing the point, because they're not taxpayer dollars; they're borrowed dollars." Yeah. Yeah, because
it's all borrowed from the Fed.
Well, yeah, and in this, every single case, every time a federal dollar is spent. You and I talked about this like right before we got on. It was $750 billion that we borrowed from foreign countries last year. And if you look at the tax returns across the United States, that's $490 billion total dollars that were spent out last year. And every single one of those dollars could have gone into local communities. Right. Could have gone, fix your potholes. Every time you hit a pothole, you should think about foreign money. Yeah. Because we gave 484.1. So almost the exact same amount of money. So not your tax return, but every single human being in the United States, every person in your community. I'm on the D38 school board. We pinch pennies. Yeah. And I talked to the superintendent the other day, and I said, can you imagine for just 1 minute what it would be like if we had every single tax dollar for everybody in D38, and we could spend it on our schools? Right. And she said, we couldn't spend that much. Like we couldn't. I don't know what we could. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, maybe we could.
Throw some local party, throw a Kager for the community.
Yeah, have an open Starbucks bar in high school, right? And let the community come in for free. That's what it would be. But instead, and that doesn't go into, police, educators, roads, bridges, everything you can imagine. But instead, we decided to give money to Germany. Right. Third largest economy in the world. Oh, yeah. They can use it better. Well, There's a country, I won't mention who it is right now, but the average person pays between $30 and $50 a month in healthcare.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the maximum they pay.
Yeah, I wish we could be at that.
Yeah,
prices
right. Wouldn't that
here.
be? Oh my gosh! But we pay, the maximum they can pay is 5% total income. So that's somebody at 200K paying $10,000. That's less than $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be nice. Why are we giving them money?
Yeah, and I assume that works like top down. It doesn't matter like how much you make. Like here, because, and what a simple system. Like honestly, think how much that would save too, just based on the way all the paperwork and all the administrative costs and stuff that go in here to the U.S. to saying, do you qualify for this or do you qualify for this? Well, if every American was just, this was how much money you made last year, you're anything over 5% of that, the government has it for you.
The government covers it.
Yeah.
And that's why
people
you're
making $30,000 or $300,000, that's really easy to calculate what 5% is.
Well, and for those people paying 30 and 50, the reason they're paying $30 to $50 a month is because government subsidizes almost, I won't say all of it, because $30 is a trip to Burger King these days.
No kidding.
But still, almost all of your medical care for, well, that's per month, so it's what, $360 a year. But instead, we made the choice to give that money that should be going to you.
Yeah.
They're your taxpayer dollars, or they're at least dollars that the federal government borrowed from somebody else. Mm-hmm. And what a wonderful thing if we actually took care of, I like to say grandma and grandpa, because I think about my mother and father. They both passed away, but services to them and or children coming out of high school. Mm-hmm. I was at a commencement. I'm on the D38 school board, so I got to hand out diplomas. One of my favorite days of the year.
Yeah, that's cool.
Giving out. Yeah, it's really fun because I get to see these kids as they walk up the stairs and they look at me right before I hand them this diploma, and they've got all these. You can tell they've got all these hopes and dreams. What am I going to do tomorrow? It's like some of them are going to college, some of them aren't, but. I always think somewhere in the deep, dark recesses of my subconscious, oh, by the way, you owe $40 trillion. Oh, I didn't tell you that part. Yeah. Well, and we've really tried, but we thought it was more important to take care of people in foreign countries than you. So, yeah, when your inflation goes up, well, it's because we gave our money away to somebody else, and well, we're not necessarily going to teach you how to think so you can see what's going on. Mm-hmm. We're just going to play one emotion against the other so that we can create divide. And then from that divide, we'll continue to blow money on foreign countries. And the concept of the word benevolence, your kindness, what a good soul is he, because he cares about other people and or they care about people so much that they're willing to spend somebody else's money helping them. Right. It's like, oh, really? So you really feel that convicted that you're willing? Oh, the government should do that. We have more nonprofits in the United States than any other country in the world per capita. Wow. The United States is the most giving country. Yeah. We give and give and give and give and give. And, but instead of giving to a nonprofit to help something, the government says, well, you give us that money and we'll spend it on somebody else, even though we know you need it. Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's where the emotions of all this come in. I think we were kind of talking about that earlier, that people, humans are emotional creatures, and we have a tendency to base our decisions off of emotion. Whereas, and it's understandable, like you feel charged up about something, you feel a type of way, and you want to do something, you feel you're moved by emotion, right? But to be able to look at things pragmatically and logically, and I also like the idea of if you just cut a hole in the bottom of your bucket and everything just drains out, how can you continue to give to others if you're not already full yourself? The best way to be able to give to others is to be in a place of strength. And so if we're not in a place of strength financially as a country, how are we supposed to continue to be philanthropic and to give, which is important. If you're in a place of abundance, let's help people 100%. But if we do it at the expense of ourselves, then we're putting ourselves in a position to not be able to continue to be in that place of strength. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot that can be said about just the government being efficient and making sure to take care of ourselves. Like, there's so many Americans that need help, and if we just spent our money better, I think it could go a lot further than what we realize without continuing to go in debt. Because you're right, $40 trillion is crazy.
And there's $2 trillion built into next year's budget. So it'll be 42. We already know that now. It's no question. But
plus interest.
Yeah. Well, the interest on the debt, is getting to the point that national defense. Are you kidding? Wait, what? We're spending how much? Yeah. No, you mentioned something about emotion in decision making, and it's funny because I deal with a lot of younger people.
Yeah.
I get to talk to them because I'm on the school board, but more so than that, I have several people that work for me, and they're all under the age of 35.
Yeah.
And we talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about politics. And I think I shape them as much as they shape me, because it gives me a different perspective, seeing things from, and there's one gentleman that I was talking to probably 2 years ago. And he was talking about why it was so hard to buy a house. And my first response, I'm a boomer. I'm actually not a boomer. I'm a Joneser, but I was born in 64. And my first response was, you need to work harder and get a job.
Yeah.
Get a better job, work harder. And over time, I've begun to realize that that's not so fair.
Yeah.
That's not a fair thought. It is, if we were back, I graduated from high school in 82, and then I graduated from college 4 years after. There was never a thought in my head that I'm not going to have a house.
Right.
I knew it. It was just de facto, it will happen based on the economy and everything else that was going on. And that's not true anymore.
Right.
And so I think the problem there is that if you have adults, people over the age of 50, over the age of 60, it's very, very difficult for them because they're not exposed. It's not like there's anything wrong with them. It's just they're not exposed. They may have grandchildren. Okay, then they'll realize. They may have children, but even their children are old enough that maybe they've not experienced the economy of today.
Yeah.
And I think me running for office, part of that is to offer the perspective, kind of a holistic perspective.
Yeah.
So that young people can see what some of the fears are in getting older. And then for the elderly to see that life is not, for the younger generation, it's not what we experienced.
Yeah.
And for an elderly person today, property tax, property insurance. And I had a conversation with somebody the other day. I said, I always try to think of the extremes. And think about an 80-plus-year-old woman who's living in a house that she and her husband paid off. And they've lived there, the majority of their lives. And her expectation is, I'm going to live in this house until I'm no longer with us.
Yeah.
And suddenly, maybe a corporation, maybe a bunch of other people move into the neighborhood and they put additions onto a house or they build it up. Suddenly the value of her house goes up.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, in theory.
In theory. Now she can't afford the property tax.
Right.
Oh, now we're taking your house from you.
Yep.
What is the fear in that woman's heart?
Yeah.
Like, can you just take a minute and put yourself into her shoes for a minute and say, oh, well, no, and I talked to somebody else and they said, well, yeah, but they have kids that take care of them. You don't know that.
Yeah. You have no idea what people's particular life circumstances are.
You have no idea what's going on in somebody else's life. And to do that, I protect the vulnerable. And the Special Forces motto is de oppresso liber. It's to liberate the oppressed.
Yeah.
Well, are we oppressing an 80-plus-year-old woman when we take her house from her? And, oh, now you go figure it out. Hopefully she has insurance, right? Hopefully Medicare is going to kick in. And so now she's going into a facility. That's just wrong. At the same token, the same thing can happen with insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend of mine who recently, there was a mistake with his insurance company, and they dropped his insurance. He didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So they forced insurance on him. There was an extra $1,000 a month.
Wow. That's a lot of extra.
That's a lot of cheddar, right?
Insurance.
Yeah, right.
Your house. Yeah.
That's a lot of cheddar. Well, it's because they forced 3 times the value of his house in insurance on him. They didn't even know what happened.
Yeah.
It was 3 months later. Again, put that same woman.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, there's a wildfire out somewhere, or there's a hailstorm in Colorado Springs, and your rates go up in Denver. Those are things that there are solutions.
Yeah.
And there are ways you can't eliminate, but you can mitigate those problems.
Yeah.
But at the same token, you have to go back and look at, for the younger generation, what are the problems that they're facing? And how do we go about mitigating student loans? These are thoughts.
Right.
Right. And I've got 3 different ways that we can talk about later if you want, but there's 3 different ways of fixing the student loan problem. But you have to think your way out of a problem. If you try to feel your way out of a problem, it's probably not going to work out too well. And I'm not going to get into a real deep philosophical conversation about modernism, postmodernism, but I will say this.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody talks to you about an emotion, they say, I'm going to ask a rhetorical question because I want to see if you answer it. I'm going to see if I can lead you into the answer. You'll have fun with this.
Yeah, let's do it. Play these mind games.
Yeah, right. They call them emotional. Every time somebody has an emotion, they'll say, oh, that is an emotional reaction.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Have you ever heard of an emotional proaction before?
No, definitely not.
You
react to your emotions.
You know why that is? Because you can't have an emotion for something that hasn't occurred.
That's right.
Well, I made a comment to somebody about that one day, and they said, oh, that's not true. Because when my husband comes home, I know he's coming home at 5:00. And I'm filled with anticipation, and I'm happy he's coming home.
It's because that's happened a bunch of times before.
And I said, well, yeah, but you know that event is going to happen.
Yeah.
Therefore, okay.
Yeah.
You're still proving my point.
Yeah.
So if you are having an emotional reaction, you're not thinking.
Yeah.
Or you're at least not thinking clearly.
Right. Because I would even add on to that because you could make the argument that you can have an emotional reaction to something that hasn't happened. That's what anxiety is, right? Like it's thinking something might happen in the future.
Yeah, go ahead.
But even then, the counter argument to that would be, see, this is how my mind works. So like,
do it, man. Like, keep going, man.
I'll just make arguments with myself all day, going back and forth. I'm like, well, but this.
Keep going.
But then you could make the counter argument that, well, even what you're having the emotional reaction to is the thought of fear that you had, even though that so-called thing you're fearing hasn't happened. What you're having the emotional reaction to is the fear that you're having around something that could happen. So you're still reacting to something that happened. And in that case, what happened was you had a fearful thought, or you had a negative thought that then sent you into this negative reaction.
Have you ever heard of Pavlov's dog?
Of course, yeah.
Everybody. Well, maybe not everybody. Look at it, Google it. If you haven't heard about it, Google it. But the dog, they feed the dog and they ring a bell every time they feed the dog. And then after a while, they ring the bell and the dog salivates. Mm-hmm. He's reacting to the bell.
Yeah.
Well, how many times are our thoughts manipulated by the media?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, well, if someone will say, oh, that doesn't happen. The simple fact that you say that it doesn't happen just tells me that you're unaware that it's happening.
Exactly. Because
it happens. And the conservatives do it. Liberals do it. Republicans, Democrats. And the only way to kind of work your way around that is to acknowledge the fact that this does happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
there are attempts to manipulate me. It's marketing. Every time you see a commercial, you're being manipulated. Come on. That's what's happening. And think your way through it. And if you think your way through it without getting emotional, then both sides can come together, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. But as soon as you hear something or you have a thought, and you say, "Oh, that's a Republican."
Yeah.
"Oh, those people, that's the way they are." When you hear those, they and them, you were manipulated.
Yeah.
Because those are all, when you talk about not racism, but bigotry.
Right.
If you use them, they, and those, that's a bigoted response.
Totally.
Because what you're doing is you are assigning to an entire group of people the characteristics of some.
Exactly.
There are innocent victims in there.
Yeah.
So when I say protect the vulnerable, who am I talking about? I
I
could be talking about you.
Yeah.
Right? Trying to get the truth out to people is a way of protection.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
And to liberate the oppressed. Well, to some extent, we're all oppressed. When I take one person, but this could be high school, college, throughout life, whatever. It could be a promotion at work. When I take one person and I say, "Hey, I'm going to do better for them than I am for you," that's a form of oppression.
Definitely.
So
it should be a level playing field for everyone.
Well, and even more so than that, when I say I'm going to give $484.1 billion away to the rest of the world, am I oppressing all Americans? I just took something from you. I inflated.
To a degree, yes. When that
I inflated your prices.
Yeah.
I made it harder for you to buy a house. I increased the price of gasoline. Oh, wait a minute. You don't have to pay that back. Your children do.
Yeah.
That's generational theft. Now we're stealing from children their future, and we're profiting off of their hopes and dreams. What? Wait, what? Yeah, don't get emotional. Just think it through. If you think something is good, what are the repercussions of that? I'm an Army Ranger, and we used to always say there's a reason for everything and an excuse for nothing. Well, the reason you did that might be because you really, really want to help, somebody overseas.
Yeah.
Well, you think they deserve to have a higher standard of living than we do in the United States. But what is the impact of that? So it's cause and effect.
Yeah.
And my humble opinion is, United States of America should come first when it comes to taking care of our citizens.
Yeah.
Now, we are de facto the most powerful nation that's ever existed in the history of mankind, as far as we know.
Right.
And there are responsibilities that come with that. But regardless, something else you mentioned earlier about security, when the average American, last time I checked, it was over 85%, live month to month, have zero savings.
Yeah, I think I saw some stat the other day that 60% of Americans don't have more than $1,000 of savings. It's crazy.
Right. So and then we owe so much money overseas. What happens when suddenly there's money that comes due, or COVID hit or something along those lines? And well, wait a minute. I have seen what happens when people get hungry. And I can tell you it doesn't take very long before they start acting in ways that they didn't realize they could act.
Yeah.
And that means that the average American is 1 month. When COVID hit, I saw pictures on my phone. I went into the local market. There was no food left.
Yeah. Definitely no toilet paper either.
No toilet paper either, right? I went to listen to this. I went to the Air Force Academy, the PX down there.
Yeah.
The BX, whatever. It's BX. And there was a guy who had a grocery cart full of toilet paper.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, you're here. You had to serve in the military. You should have a little bit of self-discipline. You should understand that there's other people out there, and maybe you shouldn't have an entire grocery cart full of toilet paper.
Yeah, you don't need a year's
supply. 3 years worth of toilet paper. Come on, bro. How many people live in your house? But he did it, and he filled up his cart. He didn't have any groceries. He didn't have anything else. He had toilet paper. So I'm thinking, if this guy, Yeah, so here's a guy who served in the military, should have self-discipline. Oh, no, sorry. No, not me. My toilet paper is number one. I was thinking, shoot, you should just get a shower head nozzle or something, then let somebody else, you know what I mean? Let somebody else just buy some toilet paper. Anyway, we are not secure unless the average American should have at a minimum 6 months between, today and I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Yeah.
So anytime someone says we have a strong economy, they get all excited. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or Democrat.
The average person.
When you say it's a strong economy, who and what are you talking about?
For people that hold the stock indexes,
right,
and for people that have owned their homes for 30 plus years, that's who the economy is strong for. And so this actually brings up some interesting things because housing specifically, never in history, not even anywhere during the Great Depression or at any point have we had higher median home prices compared to higher median household income. So the gap between a median home price and median income has never been this disproportionate. But the flip side of that is you have all these people, particularly like the boomers and stuff, who have all these homes. They have their retirement accounts have blown up massively with the S&P and the NASDAQ and the stock market. So there's kind of like this catch-22 on both sides because either you have to decrease the value of the property that the older generation has in order to allow the younger generation to be able to come in and actually have the ability to buy things, or average income has to drastically increase. And there is not really any other way around it. One of those two things has to happen. Either the price of things has to come down or the amount of money that people make has to drastically go up. And that goes into the idea of like inflation, right? Like I love economics and there's a lot of economists that I listen to.
Cool.
And it is. Economics is so fun.
It's exciting.
At my softball game last night, I'll just tell the story real quick. At my softball game last night, we were all hanging out. We won a crazy comeback. We ended up winning 25-24.
Really?
High scoring softball game, right? And we're sitting around the parking lot, we're all hanging out afterwards, and there was only a few of us left, and one of the guys still had one of his sons there, and he's 8 years old, and the boy was like basically telling us that we're boring because all the other kids had left.
What?
Yeah, and we're like,
you're boring.
Yeah, and so my friend,
you guys are
said
talking
to me,
about
like,
economics or
like,
something.
We're fun. Well, that's where I'm going with this. My friend's like, we're fun. He's like, we could be talking about like money or economics. I'm like, what? You don't want to talk about the Federal Reserve meeting that happened today? And they're like, no. And I'm like, I'm the only person that wants. I want to talk about how Warsheld raised today, and the Bank of Japan just increased interest rates to the highest level they've had since 1995.
It's only going to affect your entire life.
Economics, yes.
Yeah, your whole life is going to be affected by this, but it's boring. I don't want to talk about it.
It's the most fun thing we can talk about. But yeah, I mean, it's just to go back to that too. I like to. Because the Fed, the Federal Reserve, will say that they're trying to get inflation down to 2%, which just means they're saying they're inflating 2% of your money away every year. So
we have to. When they say we have to grow our way out of this, and explain what you're talking about though. So because some people don't get that, is that what they mean is okay. So we borrow dollars.
Yeah.
And so, but inflation hasn't hit yet. So that dollar is worth $1.
Right.
But then inflation hits and that dollar is worth 90 cents.
Exactly.
So we're paying back our debt with $1 that's actually worth less than the dollar we borrowed. Yep. So we're growing our way. It's like, well, it could be growing the economy so we get more money. But the bigger problem is that our money policy creates inflation.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, I said
it's baked in.
$784 billion is borrowed from foreign countries. But we're going $2 trillion further in debt. And that money's coming out of your pocket.
Yeah.
That inflation is hitting you.
Yep.
Whether it doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat, because, economics does not care.
Yep. And it's straight up. people, they try to give you all these numbers, the CPI
Yeah.
and the PPI and all the different, all the different ways they can calculate inflation, right?
Yeah.
But inflation is really simple. It is how much are we diluting the money supply? Every time we print more money, the money becomes worth less.
Oh, and it's your fault.
And yeah.
No, it's your fault.
Yeah.
No, I had some troll the other day hit me up online, and they're saying, "Oh, Republicans did this." Da, da, da. And they had this ginormous list of, "Oh, you guys are so mean and nasty because you did all these things." And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's a very emotional response. And if you thought it through, you'd realize that going all the way back to, well, you could go back to, I'd say at least the last 50 years,
Mm-hmm.
that our money policy has created these problems. And it's
For sure.
not, it's at both parties.
Because we continue to put Band-Aids on it, right? Like
Yeah.
I posted this chart the other day of the national debt. Obviously it's
Did
just
you?
going in a straight line
I
like
wish
this.
I could see it.
And well, because what was interesting is the way that the chart had been posted is the national debt going like this,
Yeah.
and it would have columns for every 4 years of red, blue, red, blue.
Oh, it just keeps
right?
going up.
Yeah, and regardless of who was in office,
It goes up.
the national debt just kept doing this. And that's what I was trying to explain to people. I'm like, this isn't a Democrat-Republican issue.
No.
First off, this is something that affects everyone.
Yes.
Every party has been doing this. Like the Republicans want to say they're the party of fiscal responsibility. Well, BS. Like that's not what you've actually done. You continue to print money, inflate money, spend irresponsibly just as much as the Democrats have. So this is not even though lots of Republicans like to campaign on that, that hasn't been the historical case. And that just continues to make things more unaffordable for Americans. And so I think we've printed like half the money in supply since COVID, since 2020. It's insane. We've doubled our money supply.
We have how many? I think it's kind of humorous, and I'm picking on everybody when I say this. But if you had a congressman, congresswoman, congressperson on the floor of Congress, and they stood up and said, "No, we must not," and they gave a speech just like our conversation right now. Not I'm looking after Republicans or Democrats, but we have to take care of Americans, and they did it at the top of their lungs, and they literally just called it out the way it is, and no watering it down with party politics or agendas or anything like that, and that were put online. Even if the media didn't want to get it out,
right,
it would get out.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it yet, what does that tell you?
They don't want it.
It hadn't happened.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
See what I'm saying? Well, I will make you a promise right now. You ready?
Yes.
I get elected. You will see that.
Okay.
You will. I promise you. You will see a guy when they're trying to enact financial policy that's going to hurt Americans. I won't say screaming at the top of my lungs because that would hurt. I probably couldn't do that very long. But to the very loud, I was a company commander of basic training. So like a drill sergeant.
Yeah.
I will be out there on the floor of Congress saying, no. And I would be fighting for those kids. I'm going to point something else out to you too.
Yeah.
If I want to increase housing prices, you know what I do?
Just inflate the dollar?
Lower interest rates. Right?
Yeah.
And housing prices go up.
Yeah.
Do they ever go down? So I lower interest rates to 2.3, 2. At one point they were at 1. You could buy down to 1.75. Holy cow!
Crazy, free money almost.
Right. Then I raise it back up to 7. Well, do housing prices go down?
They haven't yet.
No, they don't. They go up. Interest rates go down. They go up.
Yeah.
Right. Because you can buy a house because your payment is lower. Okay, great. Well, then interest rates go back up. Now the housing prices are up here, but interest rates are up here. And now this guy down here can't buy a house. My hands are in the exact same position that you had them just a minute ago.
Yep.
When you said median prices here. Well, how do you fix that problem? Well, you don't do it. If I wanted to, I could just lower interest rates. Well, that'll have an impact on inflation. That's bigger monetary. I don't want to go down that road. But the first thing you have to do is be honest about inflation. When you look at the CPI, Consumer Price Index, and when the government comes out and says, inflation's at 2% or 3% or whatever it might be. I was at the market just recently, and there was a girl in front of me, and she had it. I've told this story before because it happened. and she had a baby in the carriage, and another child was in the, like riding in with all the groceries.
Yeah.
And it was embarrassing for her. My heart went out to her, and I think numerous people in line did, because she was trying to figure out what she had to put back.
Oh, wow.
Because she had gotten groceries. She couldn't afford everything that was in the cart. Well, I'm not saying everybody should do this, but I'll tell you that 2 or 3 people in line, to include myself, we ended up paying for it. Just said, go ahead. And she's almost in tears as she kind of goes out. But that's beside the point. So when someone comes back and tells me interest rates are at 2%, and I
should be at 2%, or what are you saying?
They have over time. Like you go back over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Right. And I can go back. I know exactly what I spent on groceries.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, I know.
Yeah.
And I know what my rent was back then. And then I come to today and they say, oh, no, come on. Are you really blowing that much smoke? Seriously. And you want me to believe you. But people do.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. But if you go to the market and you are buying less today than you were yesterday, and you just figure out proportionally about how much that is, and someone comes back and tells you, well, here's inflation. And it's varied. It's been 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know what the highest it was. It was probably about 6% at one point.
Well, so they say.
Yeah.
I don't believe any of those numbers.
I felt 15.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
definitely.
I felt 15%.
It's much higher than what they say. Because they use these numbers and they take things out and they're like, oh, well, we're going to calculate inflation, but we're not going to include these other things over here.
Right. Sporting equipment. Wait a minute. The price of a baseball bat, they include that because that brings it back down. Or when housing prices do this, because interest rates are low, do they say, oh, is that inflation?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, no, the house costs a heck of a lot more today than it did yesterday.
Yep.
And I can't buy that house anymore.
Yeah, and then they say they're going to do things like these FHA loans where
so
you can
use
get
the
it
word,
at 3% down. Right?
You said the word they. Yeah. So that's a bigoted response.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. We'll say politicians and bankers. In general, we'll call them politicians and bankers.
Well, if we're being bigoted towards the politicians and bankers, that's
okay.
Everyone can agree that we can all, rag.
We can all rag
on the politicians and the bankers. But it's like the things obviously cost tremendously more, and they now every time I use the word they, I'm going to be like stopping myself.
And it's just so you know, the only reason you just do that because it is a fine word to use, but when you use it, just think in your head, who am I really talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Because
be specific.
Because that's one of the first.
Otherwise, we're generalizing.
Well, and not only that, but that's one of the first steps towards indoctrinating people to hate others. Because
just using blanket statements like that. That's
the way they do things. Well, I'm not going to apply that to any race, color, creed, or religion. But right now, if you bring up any race, color, creed, or religion, there's a stereotype that goes with them that you could use the word they for. And so that word is used. That is the very first step towards creating division. If I say Will Carr supports policies that are making it harder for me to afford a house, well, then I'm not guilty because I'm Tim Bennett.
Right.
But we're both Republicans.
Right.
So if you say all Republicans or all Democrats are a certain way, we do it with everybody. Or we just go about attacking, you can attack countries that way. So, everybody over there, that's the way they do it. No, it's not true. So anyway, I'm poking fun, but you know,
no, we're having fun.
But I want anybody who listens to this, that's why you have to be careful about those words, because it is far, far, far too easy to use them. Oh, that's what those people do. Yeah. Well, who are those people?
Just classify everyone in this one bucket. And that's what's got us to this place that we're at in the country right now of just absolute division, which is where they want us, because I keep trying to say there's an 80% in the middle, at least, that just want positive things for our country, want positive things for Americans, want everyone to get along, want there to not be division, want us to do things that push us forward in positive ways. Dare I say, I think everyone's more libertarian than they want.
Dare I say?
Yeah. than people want to realize. It's like, because I think we all could agree, which in my opinion, this is the core of being libertarian, and the idea around it is doing things that are productive for community and allowing people to be, as long as you're not hurting others. Like, that's really kind of the rule. Like, let's not hurt other people. If I'm not doing something that's hurting anyone else, I should be free to do what I want. Like, at our core.
Yeah. I don't think you should be running down the street naked.
Well, yeah, right.
You got a sunburn
There's
the
levels
other
of
day,
decency.
and I don't want to see that. That would be really bad. No, I'm just kidding. No, I agree with you. That goes back to the emotion and decision making.
Yeah.
And you can, your emotions can lead you into any horrific act. They triggered me.
Yeah.
Every time I hear that, I'm like, oh, so your lack of self-discipline allowed the word triggered.
Yeah.
Okay, they said something, they did something, whatever it might be, and it as a result of your experiences in life, you had a given emotional response.
Mm-hmm.
Totally get that.
Yep.
But that does not justify some sort of violence. It
Right.
just doesn't. And the same thing goes with intellectually. You can intellectualize yourself into doing anything.
Yeah.
But not violence.
Yeah.
And let's get into a discussion and respect each other. And there's some of those baseline understandings about living in a community, living in a United States.
Yeah.
That goes 110% along with it. You do whatever you want to do. I don't care. I really don't. Maybe don't do it right in front of me, whatever that might be.
You should be able to do whatever you want in your home with
Have
your
fun.
friends,
Enjoy
and your
yourself.
circle of people, as long as you're not hurting other people.
And you can go to whatever church you want.
Yeah.
You can live in the United States and be Baptist, Lutheran, Catholic, agnostic, whatever floats your boat, and not suffer any repercussions from society because of that.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of what the founding fathers were talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know. They wanted to come here and just
I think the whole idea of
do their thing.
Because I think I had someone bring up the idea of separation of church and state the other day, and I kind of challenged them, because I think people take that too far, in the sense of like they're like, well, I wouldn't even want to vote for anyone that has any type of religious beliefs because of separation of church and state. I'm like, well,
why not?
If that's the case, then like define religion, define church, right? Because that can be any type of ideology. Like, it doesn't just mean separation of state and Christianity.
Yeah.
It means separation of the state and any type of ideology, in the sense of like, I'm going to force you to be in this type of belief. I'm going to force you to practice these
80%
practices.
80% plus of all Americans believe in a higher being of some sort.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means that
we can all get together behind that.
So all 80% those people are not. Well, that means that the 20%, they're literally saying, "Oh, yeah, no, we're in charge, and not you." That's kind of a bigoted statement in and of itself, because all Christians, all Lutherans, they're all the same. No, they're not. My father was in the Army, and as I grew up, we went to different churches. Every time we'd move, we'd try to find one, but sometimes we weren't there very long. 2 years in some cases, 3 years in others, but regardless, which means that growing up, I went to Emmanuel Lutheran, actually, which was down in Colorado Springs. It's a Lutheran school. I'm not Lutheran, but I went there. Yeah. And I still have friends from when I went there, and I love hanging out with them. And I honestly have a hard time trying to figure out what's different about what I believe than what they believe. That's the point. Fact of the matter is, I went to all these different churches and made friends, had all of them, every single one of them. And when am I going to look down my nose at you? Because I kind of, no, that doesn't. But again, we do that intentionally. We don't, but we are manipulated into doing that through marketing, right? So that we can divide ourselves. Because if I had a barbecue right now and invited a bunch of Democrats and Republicans and we went out there. We didn't know who each other were.
Yeah.
And you couldn't, and I took words off the table. You can't use the word Democrat. You can't use the word Republican. You can't use the word conservative. You can't use the word liberal. We take all the labels off the table.
Yep.
It would be, in many cases, it would be very difficult to determine who was who.
Yeah, because people genuinely agree on most things. It's just these emotional marketing tactics that have been used to make this side hate this side hate this side. So that way, no matter what, you're going to vote this way, you're going to vote this way, and we can guarantee and count on those votes, right? But I think people are really getting sick of that. Like, I mean, and that's, I was talking with another friend the other day, and he's just so sick of politics. He like doesn't want to vote. He doesn't want to, do anything. He's like, and his whole thing was, well, if all I'm doing is voting, then that's not enough of civil engagement for me. And I'm like,
you're right. He should be donating to my campaign. Tim Bennett for Congress.com or on X, Tim Bennett for CO.
I'll tell
That's
you, I
telling me,
softball.
he should have been giving me money.
Yeah,
what the heck?
say,
Come on, man. I'm fighting for you. Come on, bro. He's not enough.
Your money.
You do know that I preach that civil engagement. And I had a conversation with, actually more than one conversation, where I have told people that you elect leaders or you look at leaders to do all the work that you should be doing.
Yeah.
If you look to your left and right, you take care of your neighbor, get out and vote, and just do the research to find, not emotional, but just do the research to find out about the issues.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when I'll talk to somebody and I'll say, what's important to you? And then, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, okay, this is what's important to me. Oh, I agree with you. Okay, and that's great. I'm not saying anything bad about that person, but wouldn't it be wonderful if we all kind of engaged in these civil conversations on a regular basis? And I think that's part of the civic responsibility.
Totally.
Is just educating yourself.
Yeah. So earlier you said there's 3 ways that we can go about, affecting
student loans.
You mentioned student loans. We were talking about housing prices. We talked about all these different things, and the kind of the contrast of the older generation with that has this wealth that's built up largely due to inflation, and then the younger generation that's having a hard time getting started because of all this inflation. Talk to me about some of those ways that you think we can affect this in a positive. Obviously, it's a big problem.
Well, that's like a spider web, but there's so many different ways to do it. I would go back to I'm going to start one way. I'm going to start in the 1990s, early 1990s, and when I was graduating from college. And I graduated in '88, but right around that time frame.
Yep.
And the percentage of Americans that went to college was much lower.
Yeah.
There was also no student loan debt.
Right.
It just didn't exist. So the idea was presented to Americans that every single American deserves a college degree.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to move. This is right around the same time NAFTA came about. And we were trying to move to a more white collar. The internet was coming out.
Yeah.
And America was going to no longer have to do those
manufacturing and
labor type jobs of manufacturing, which oddly, my grandfather was a coal miner.
Yeah.
So I have a huge amount of respect. And my father grew up in West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Probably never wore shoes probably 5 times in his life by the time he was like 15. But in other words, I don't look down I look up.
Yeah.
A guy a craftsman, say he's a plumber or a carpenter or a painter, whatever it might be.
My brother's the hardest working people in America.
Yeah. And salt of the earth, right? They're boom, great people.
Without them, society would collapse.
And for some reason or another, it's almost like we turned our back on them in the early 90s. And that was the start. Because at that point, it became, we federalized student loans very shortly, right around that time frame, and a little shortly thereafter. But everybody had to go to college. And it wasn't fair if somebody didn't have an opportunity to go to college. Well, now here we are all these years later, and we're starting to realize, oh, wait a second, not everybody has to go to college.
Yeah. graduating with $250,000 in student debt,
student loan.
and you
Are
can't
you
even
kidding
get
me?
a job doing what you got a degree for.
And especially when it comes to programming websites and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, I don't have to go to college to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
So the first thing is you can earn without going into debt. There are ways that people can make money without having to adhere to this stigma that you have to go to college.
Yeah.
And in D38, we have the CIC. It's a Career Innovation Center. But they learn how to be plumbers and electricians and that sort of thing. And you can make a wonderful living doing those things.
Totally.
And especially when you start off and you're not, you have this burden of student loan debt on top of you. And it doesn't take, 5 years these days to graduate from college. And that's just one step.
Yeah.
And how do you address the student loan issue? Well, and again, this is just one very small piece of how do you equalize that back out. But when the federal government borrows money at 4 or 5%, so we pick a country, Japan.
Yeah.
But I think we have $1.19 trillion that we in U.S. Treasuries that we've sold to Japan. They're number one.
Yep, they're the largest foreign holder of U.S. Treasury.
So we pick on Japan for a minute. I'm not really picking on them. I'm just pointing at them.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, so we're borrowing money from Japan to give to you for a student loan, but we're going to spend 4% on that money that we borrowed from Japan for the next 30 years because it's 30-year Treasury. That the one that we're talking about in particular is a 30-year, just for purposes of the analogy.
Right.
But then we're going to give the money to you, and we're going to charge you 8%. Wait, what? What did I just do?
Yeah.
Did the government just profit off your hopes and dreams?
Yeah.
Is that what just happened?
Exactly what's happening.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's morally wrong. Why is it that any person who graduate at 17, 18 years old, they graduate from high school, and the government is literally, how can I profit off of you?
Yeah.
Aha. No, that's wrong. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me? And who's doing it? Oh, those are the Republicans, those bad guys. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Come on. That's Democrats are doing that too. It's the government doing it, and
100%.
It should stop. But that's just one piece. Then you go back and you look at, is it Prop 13 out of California? Prop 13, and I may have got that number wrong, but what they do, but wait, I take that back. I'm going to look at Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Better example. Pennsylvania. I used to live in Pennsylvania, Carlisle, Pennsylvania. You buy a house in Pennsylvania, or Carlisle, where I used to live, and you say you buy it. You bought your house 10 years ago. The value of the house at the date of purchase in Pennsylvania is the value that they assess property tax against until you sell the house.
What a great concept.
Wait, what?
Well,
Huh.
What a great concept if you're going to have property taxes to begin with.
Yeah, right. No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It'd be great if we didn't have them at all. But at least at that point, when your house value goes up, you don't get priced out of the house. You sign a contract to make a given payment. The payment's not going to change, or it's not going to change that much. Or when they lie to me about what inflation is, and my property value went up too fast, but they didn't adjust my Social Security, and I just lost my house. Or when you're a youth, what do you want me to?
Sure.
A younger American, somebody under the age. I'm 62.
A millennial or a Gen Z.
Yeah, one of those guys. I don't know. Sometimes we get in arguments over what that actually means. But they know that when I buy a house, this is what it's going to cost me, period.
Yeah.
And there are other ways that the government's going to have to make up that money, but they're not trying to profit off of me. So instead of looking at somebody under the age of 35, a younger American, as a means of fleecing them out of a dollar, or again, a vulnerable and liberate the oppressed. It's instead of looking at them as a mark, for me to profit off of. How about and if a government or if a company does that and they market to you, that's one thing. But when your own government is doing it, No, are you kidding me? Well, there's so many ways of fixing those problems, but you have to first go back and fix the fact that, excellent friend of mine, he and I worked together, and he got married, and there were some things that I did for him that allowed he and his wife to save enough money over the course of 2 years that they could buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
He could not have bought that house if I had not done the things that I did.
Yeah.
Well, all of those things go to inflation. It goes to student loans. It goes to being able to live for 6 months without getting hungry. So it goes to having a stable life.
Yeah.
And then take that a step back and say, okay, well, now you can buy a house. Well, do we want you to buy a house? Or do we want corporations? We want you to pay rent for the remainder of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You will never own a house. And we're happy about that. And you just get used to that way of thinking. No, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And there's fiscal policy that can fix that problem. But that fiscal policy starts and stops with fiscal responsibility at the federal level.
At the highest level. And I think it's something interesting to mention here, because the idea of, everyone wants to talk about like this wealth gap that's being created, right?
And there's a big one.
It's actually much more simple than people realize. It is 100% caused by the fact that the way our fiat system works is backed by nothing. So the idea of inflation, who does inflation benefit? It benefits the people that own assets, period, because the value of assets continue to go up and up and up and up and up. And so in that type of environment where we don't have these sound money principles, things are just going to continue to inflate. Things are going to cost more for your average person, and your average person that doesn't have all of this wealth of assets doesn't get to take benefit from that, but instead has detriment because of this. And so it all starts at the federal level, like you're discussing, with federal monetary policy and the way that we print money at the Fed to buy treasury bonds, that the only thing they have to back the treasury bonds is the money that just got printed out of thin air. And that can
Well, think it's even worse than that, because in some cases we're not even printing it, we're borrowing it.
Yeah.
And then we pay 4%, 4 or 5% for the next 30 years. And that interest, if we didn't have to pay any interest on our debt, we would be having a different conversation.
Right.
But right now what happens is, and wouldn't it be wonderful if the average American could do this too?
Mm-hmm.
You have a credit card with a $10,000 limit. At the end of the year, you spend that up to $10,000 and now you're done. Okay.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, all you have to do is vote yourself a $20,000 limit. And then next year you get to pay an extra $20,000. Well, this is fine. I can do this. Wait, I got 30 years to do this?
Yeah.
And I wait, how much interest? Oh yeah, I'll be dead by the time this thing comes due.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just keep adding on an extra 10K. And actually, wait, next year I'm going to do 11K because dollars are worth a little inflation hit. So I have to increase it. But that's okay. I can just give it to myself. And then when you're done doing this, somebody else has to pay the bill.
Right.
Wait, what? Again, who voted for that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's those dirty, nasty Republicans. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's the Democrats did that to you and the Republicans both, because you showed that this is not one party. Well, you go back and try and figure out, how do you fix things for somebody who's younger? Well, how about you take that $484.1 billion that was dumped overseas and you spend it domestically?
Yeah.
There's the first step right there.
Yep.
And that would make a change in every American's life. And suddenly, instead of exporting, I call it the decapitalization of the United States, instead of exporting the wealth of the United States, and I don't say wealth because we're rich. You could be a poor country and export wealth as well. But in this case, we're exporting American wealth around the world, because in the minds of some, and I'm using that word specifically because I'm not saying Republicans or Democrats or them or they.
We're trying not to say they.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. But in the minds of some, it's more important for us to take care of somebody in another country than it is to take care of you. And to answer your question, how do you fix it? You can deal with symptoms or you can deal with solutions. I say the symptoms are emotional. and
Yeah.
the solutions are pragmatic.
Yes.
And those solutions require a lot of thought,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to prioritize what is our goal.
Mm-hmm.
That you cannot tell me, well, you could, I wouldn't believe you, that we can fly to the moon, we can fly aircraft at 3 times the speed of sound, we can do all this stuff, but we can't figure out how to make houses affordable for people
Right.
growing up.
I thought you were going to say you couldn't tell me you believe we could fly to the moon.
Well, I'm saying I corrected myself because I know some friends that still think that we didn't. I was in Army space, so I kind of understand how it's like. Okay, well, I'm just not going to argue with you. No, we did. Yeah, okay.
We won't get into that then.
No.
I don't think we went to the moon.
Yeah,
But,
that's okay.
Yeah,
we're
it's
totally
okay.
fine. Yeah.
I don't think we did.
You know what? I'm still going to enjoy my coffee with you.
Yeah, good.
You know what? You know what? Those people. Did you see that? Those people. Are we running short on time, or did we run out of time? We went
we're
overtime.
good. We get another 5-10 minutes.
You haven't asked a single question, homeboy. What the heck's up with that? You said you were going to ask a question. Are we still getting recorded?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you asked me a question.
You got anything to add? You got a good question to wrap up with?
Yeah. What do you got?
I'll
man?
think of one if you don't got one for us.
Yeah, I have a good one.
Okay.
You talked about how the government often profits off of us trying to get an education.
Yeah.
And maybe some solutions to prevent that from happening. What about government and also other corporations profiting off of illness in a world where we are striving for health and health freedom?
Yeah, and I'll rephrase that so that way we can get it on camera.
Yeah,
or
because
get it
I'm
on audio.
trying to follow your question, but go ahead and rephrase it.
I guess what I'll say is, I guess I might make this smaller. Is just like how the government's profiting off of student loans, which I think is a great example of how using subsidies has and how the government has subsidized student the college experience, which has made just college get more and more and more expensive. Because like when the colleges know you can get endless money from the government and it's backed by the government, why would they not just keep charging more and more and more, right? Is the government doing a similar? Are they profiting off people being sick, or is it just the pharmaceutical companies that are, or is the government itself actually making money in a similar sense through? I mean, is that kind of like what your question is?
How about? So I like to preach personal responsibility and personal accountability.
Yeah.
But that may sound a little obtuse, but let me explain what I'm talking about. So I'm 62 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. I try to work out. I try to keep myself fit. I take so many vitamins every day. You couldn't count them, right? Do I get a discount on my insurance? No, I don't.
Yeah.
So is there any incentive monetarily? An insurance company looks at that and they say, oh, well, no, sorry. You're just like everybody else. So does that mean that industry does not want people? This is the healthcare industry. Do they want people to be healthier? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Well, if you get sick and you go to the doctor, they make money.
Mm-hmm.
But how do they make money? They make money because the subsidies and how they flow. You say, okay, they go to the hospital just made money. They got paid by the insurance company. Well, why is it then that the insurance company, they pay a higher rate than you do if you're an individual?
Right.
Well, that the money, the higher rate that they're paying goes to the hospital. In some cases, your doctor is an in-network doctor who sends you to a pharmacy that's owned by the same company that the doctor works for. That you go to the hospital, which is the same network.
Yep.
And so I think that the argument could be made very easily that the healthcare system in the United States is a profit system.
Definitely.
And if you talk to the individual doctor themselves, they're good people. They really are.
Yeah.
And do we have a problem with the system and whether or not, if this person has this sickness and they continue to have this sickness, well, then we just continue to make money
Yeah.
in perpetuity, and instead of actually solving a problem.
Yeah.
What about this is a little bit off topic, but you look at EMS workers. You know, you look at how much EMS workers make.
Nothing.
They're making Burger King, McDonald's.
Yeah.
Your life is in their hands,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But instead of having enough to take care of people, enough EMS workers, then we would rather give that money overseas. Or here's one for you. How many counties in Colorado? It's a rhetorical question. I don't even know the answer, so it's not rhetorical, but I know you can't answer it because I can't, but I do know there's a sizable number of them. People have to get flight for life insurance because the amount of time it takes for an ambulance to get from a hospital or from wherever they are to the individual and back to the hospital, you're dead by the time you get there.
Right. Yeah.
Do those people get subsidies because of where they live? Or do we have facilities that can actually take care of them? That's not your question, but it is just, you can turn a blind eye to the problems within the healthcare industry and they just continue to go on. You look at who are the largest or the biggest lobbyists in the country. And if you don't see Big Pharma up there, well, you're probably blind.
Yeah.
So
at the top of the list.
And why I would say is that at what point do Americans, it's supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's not supposed to be government of the bank for the lobbyist.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, at what point did our needs as citizens become secondary? And I don't know if I'm addressing your issue or not.
Well, I think kind of the way to address the difference between those two is when it comes to things like student loans, the way the government is profiting on it is by borrowing at 4% and then charging 8% for the interest loans and making the spread, right?
Right.
When it comes to something like the healthcare system, the government might not be directly making money that way, but what happens is through the lobbyists that are funding the majority of the politicians that are then running for office, that those profits that the pharmaceutical companies are making are then being used to fund campaigns to then get people in place to continue to take care of the pharmaceutical companies and make sure they can keep making profits.
How about we label it a system of abuse?
Yeah.
There's a system of abuse where it is the lobbyists and it is big banks. By the way, one of the other ways the banks make the money is when the Fed doles out the money. Mm-hmm. That's interest-free money.
Yeah.
Or, excuse me, that's inflation-free money.
Mm-hmm.
It has not been inflated yet. So the banks get the money and it's worth $1.
Mm-hmm.
By the time it goes back to you,
it's already worth
it's worth 90 cents.
Yeah.
So they're making money on that end. So I just wanted to make that as a comment. But I think there's a system of abuse across the board in so many ways that, again, your emotions are being manipulated. But to your point, it is that system. And DOs, have you ever heard of doctor of osteopathy?
Oh, yeah.
They try to work a little more holistically and they try to do a lot more on the prevention side and lifestyle stuff to avoid some of those sicknesses and illnesses. But I just so you know, the older you get, the more people you know that have died and the more people you know that have died of sicknesses. And when you find out quite frequently that there's a sickness that somebody had that they either suffered too long, meaning that could have been obfuscated or mitigated the pain and suffering they went through, or that there was a mistake or an issue, and you look at that and you just you never have unequivocal proof, but you can just kind of go, what was going on there? Why was that? And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but
like me, who doesn't believe we went to the moon.
Yeah, I looked right at you. I didn't look over here. I looked right there. Those people. No.
Those people, them. Those moon landing deniers. Oh, man. Well, Tim, this has been really fun, man. I've enjoyed sitting down and talking with you.
Yeah, I wish we could turn the mics off and just sit here and have another cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And you would have to come over here. What the heck?
But, you know,
He's got that big smile on his face.
Yeah.
He said nothing the whole time.
And there's so many things that we could continue to dive in. You know, I think that the core of like the problem of what we're talking about is the system. You know, it's the way the monetary system is set up and the way that fiat money works and not having sound money principles. Because with things like that, we could really solve all of these problems. You know, someone like Elon Musk, love him or hate him, right? First trillionaire, first public trillionaire in the world. I always like to tell people that there's plenty of other trillionaires out there. That's just private. But, he talks about this idea of universal high income. And because the economy is getting to this point where the way that money works and all these things, like if Americans were, if the United States was able to use money efficiently, we could take care of our people in such a way. And there's a drastic difference between what is this type of system that I'm describing and something like socialism. The way that socialism works by just giving, when you're still in this strict fiat system of there's no hard money, it's not backed by anything, it just continues to inflate money away and make the problem worse and worse and worse. But in a system where we had proper monetary policy, we would be able to take care of people, and Americans could get a dividend, or call it what you want, but every citizen should and could be absolutely taken care of. We have the resources to do it. Money just would have to operate a little differently, and we would have to be fiscally responsible.
We have been so abusive that if you take the GDP of the United States, the entire GDP, everything, that's every single penny that every single person earns in the United States for 1 year, we still couldn't pay off the national debt.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. That's
nuts.
To look at, and then to look at that and be so short-sighted as to be able to say, oh, those are the Republicans.
Yeah.
Oh, no, those are the Democrats. You remember Michael Jackson?
Of course.
The man in the mirror?
Yeah.
Yeah. You look the man in the mirror.
Yep.
And when it comes around time to vote, you can say my vote doesn't count, get more of the same.
Yeah.
Einstein said something about that.
Yeah.
Right?
You can stick your head in the sand, or you can actually do what you can do to make a difference.
And someone could look at me and say, he's just the same as those other people. Well, I'm at least the new guy on the block.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you that I'm not going to do that. So you can either vote for a proven system dweller, or you can vote for the guy who says, I will not abide by the system and I will fight for you. Yeah. By the way, it's Tim Bennett for Congress.com. And go on X. I love to have all my little followers. And they're great, wonderful Americans. And that's Tim Bennett for CO. Yeah. And this is fun.
Yeah. Well, Tim,
every time I had fun talking to you the other night.
Yeah.
I had to walk around because I was trying to work the room, but and everybody who came back and said, "Oh yeah, Will Carr, that dude's cool, man."
It helps be 6'10". You get noticed in a room.
Is that what it is?
6'10", smile, be likable, be nice.
I thought it was 6'7".
6'10", man.
Dang.
Can't cut 3 inches off me.
There's a joke there, but I'm not.
But
I'm not going to go down that road. I actually knew I was in the right room, the right building, because I came out of the elevator and I could just see. I couldn't see from your shoulders up.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I can see shoulders. That's probably him.
That's got to be him.
His head is so high that I can't see through the window.
Yeah.
Where the rest of his body is.
Yeah.
That's Will.
Tim, thanks for coming on the show, man. Tim Bennett, Congressional District 7 here in Colorado. And it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Well, I hope I can come back.
We will. We got so much more we could talk about.
Yeah, we can talk about the Sundance Film Festival.
There we go. We'll get that one next time.
Because they're going to be mad that we didn't talk about that.
Yeah. I know your people are going to be texting me and be like, Will,
we
just
told
wanted you to talk about the Sundance. Wanted to get into that.
Yeah, well.
Next time.
If you want a trip to Sundance, it already came to Colorado. I used to take people out to Park City, but not anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be in Boulder starting this year.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah.
And a good friend of mine, really good friend of mine, has a movie going in it this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. One of my best friends in the history of my life just sold a film 2 years ago. Yeah, I used to work in that industry, but we'll talk about that more later.
We will. Tim, great talking to you, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
See ya.
I'm Will Carr, and I'm here to fire you up.